The following podcast is scheduled for one recording with no time limit. Making their way down to somewhere in the ring, Andrew Sanford and Ryan Sprague.
Bah, humbug. That's too strong. This is my favorite holiday. Something.
That's my favorite Christmas song.
I haven't got the energy. It's a good song.
It's a Jordan Christmas. Sorry. That's all I got.
That's one of my favorite 30 Rock jokes, because then Judah Friedlander's like, I remember that video. It was raunchy after like Tracy Jordan singing the most mundane kind of Christmas song.
Oh, God bless 30 Rock.
Yeah, man. Just one of my favorites of all time. And God bless World Wrestling Entertainment. Oh, maybe not. Never mind. I'm going to take that one back. This is somewhere in the ring show where we talk about wrestling, and that's specifically what we're doing right here, right now, with a Survivor Series / WarGames recap. That's my biggest issue, is I don't know what to call this. This thing that I loved so much. Spoilers for the Survivor Series WarGames. There it is. I am Andrew Sanford, joined as per usual by my co-host Ryan Sprague, and we have a very special guest this week for our recap, friend of the show, writer, comic book writer, Joey Esposito. Hey, bud.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so chuffed to be a friend of a pod.
We are
chuffed. A great. I don't know. I feel like a great Chiron to have would be Joey Esposito, friend of the pod.
Yeah, I'm down for that. And we'll talk about. There were two things that I got to experience with my boys that made me very happy over the last 24 hours. One of them we will get into a little bit more later. The other thing was this morning we read Pedestrian number 4 together, written by Joey Esposito, drawn by Sean Bon Gorman, released through Magma Comics. Everybody, go read Pedestrian. Also, there's going to be a trade when does the trade supposed to come out? January?
The trade paperback comes out the end of January in comic shops, and in bookstores it's like February 11th. But you should go pre-order it now before December 23rd, because pre-orders are probably going to determine whether or not we get to continue this story, which would be a good career move forward for me. So
yeah. And I the pre-orders, as far as books that people love or want or are interested in, I did not realize how much of like a backbone of literary works that is currently.
Yeah,
like
it's brutal, because it's like it's putting the onus on the customer to some degree, which sucks. But if there's stuff that you like, it's very important to pre-order as often as possible. Yeah, because that's how publishers, and the money people determine interest and whether or not it's going to be worth paying us to continue. So,
because they are no longer publishers, as weird as this might sound, are no longer in the business of generating interest. They're just not. That's just not what they do. They used to do that. That used to be their whole thing. And now they're just like, I don't know, man.
It's a different world for sure. So if you're interested in the Pedestrian, or you read the issues and you want it to continue, please go to Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore or wherever you get books or comics and ask them to order the Pedestrian Volume 1.
Yeah, and as somebody who has 2 3.5-year-olds, I read those books to them. They love them. I have to not say some words that are in there, but
like pedestrian.
But pedestrian, oh God, can't it? No, but I was telling Joey this, and I've said this to a lot of people. When we go to cross the street now, I say we have to wait for the pedestrian. So like they will say like, oh, the pedestrian, and then we'll cross the street.
So what you're saying is our book is doing more for the world than Dare ever did.
100%. Yeah. Oh, ever. Absolutely. I am
saving lives, Joey.
I am a living example of the ineffectiveness of Dare. I was a Dare camp counselor.
Oh my God, really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
For about 2 weeks when I was 14. But at a time where I was very, very much, no.
Of course.
I think every 14-year-old should be. But anyway.
Andrew dared to keep kids on drugs.
Hey, that's the plan. I want to undo any work that Dare might have.
What is this quantum leap?
Yeah. If that helps you, Ryan.
Sure.
I like to think of myself as a bacula. But we're here not talk about Scott Bakula.
No.
We are here to talk about Survivor Series / WarGames, which happened last night. There was a lot of build up to this event. And I'll just say it right off the top. I thought quite a bit of that paid off quite nicely. This was maybe my favorite event since WrestleMania.
Wow.
For this year, I'll be honest. I think just per capita. And that's even with me only there's a triple threat match in there that I barely got to see any of, but what I saw, I very much liked. And I got to see most of the Gunther Damian Priest match. And aside from that, I was just kind of watching, and there are some extra added reasons as to why I liked it so much, but I also just thought it was a very good event. And I thought the main event is up there for match of the year for me.
Oh, wow.
Personally.
Wow.
The match of 2024.
So we had Survivor Series in Vancouver. Now, do you ever watch the pre-shows? I'm just curious before we dive into the first match.
No.
I have before.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't mind in it's harder now with kids, even though again I broke that barrier last night to give a little bit of spoiler for what's to come. But I won't mind if I'm just like getting into the vibe, because I don't have the version of Peacock I have is not the like ad-free one. So the pre-shows are really the only places where you can see the tail of the tape for WWE now. And I think that's something that WWE does better than most of what they do. WWE is capable of putting together a video package that could make me excited about a match that I do not care about.
It's always been their strength, I feel like.
Always.
Editors are like very underappreciated, I feel like, because it's always been that way. They've always been able to like distill the story down to a really effective video package.
Yes.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I do have the ad-free Peacock, but when you don't watch an event live, and Michael Cole's like, and for Peacock Premium Plus subscribers, we'll get a look back at how this matchup came to be. But if you're watching like the replay, they skip that. Yeah. Like it's not in there.
Skip it. It's just commercials.
Yeah, it must be like programmed to be like where the commercial break would be.
Yeah, it is.
And since like there isn't one, it just like cuts right to the match, which is annoying, because I like.
Okay. So you're not having to watch like any Lysol ads or anything, at least.
No, there's still no ads. It's just like, if I'm not watching it live, really? Do you? Okay.
I'm the poor guy over here.
Got it.
Yeah. But
I can't do commercials.
I get it, Joey. I get it, man. It definitely takes away from the pace. The reason I bring it up, they did this really cool thing that I just wanted to squeeze in here, where they had this guy from Vancouver who's been going to the events for decades now. And for decades, he would bring a sign that said, "Bring WrestleMania to Vancouver, bring WrestleMania to Vancouver." He would draw it in crayon and bring it. And he got on camera. Every show he went to, he would go to Seattle, Portland, across California, shows in Canada, and just keep bringing these signs saying, "Bring WrestleMania to Vancouver." So clearly it was not WrestleMania, but when they did find out about this guy and went back and looked at how many times he was campaigning to get WWE to come to Vancouver again, I think the last time they did was like 94 or something like that. They reached out to him, and they gave him a ringside seat.
Sweet.
They had him hand out signs to all of the wrestlers, and they all came and met with him backstage. So it was one of those really touching moments that WWE does so well.
That's cool.
They had one of those before WrestleMania too, that I remember, with a gentleman who's like a WWE ambassador now, who and like him getting to see the headquarters for the first time. Yeah, I like that stuff. I like the emphasis on fans. Like I like that. Yeah, I feel like they were just like, how do we take all the goodwill that we get from our Make-A-Wish Foundation videos, because that kind of spreads out, and like work it on our own audience and make them think that they can be a part of this. Yeah, it's good. It's very manipulative in a good way. It
was shocking to me when they mentioned whatever the statistic was about the last time they were in Vancouver, and it just seemed like, really, that long?
Know. Yeah,
it's great up there.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll get to it. I'd like to know what you guys think about this audience. Maybe later in the conversation. I don't know if it was just me, but I thought they were a little little below par,
little tepid.
Little
I'll
tepid.
give you that.
There were moments where like all of a sudden it was just like silent.
It was just like the air got sucked out of there. Some tepid Vancouver.
And like some of it
Canadians they're very polite people. I think
that's true. Trust me, I know at this point.
No, they're just like, yeah, and now we sit.
Let's get to the first match, shall we, guys?
Sure. Wait, hold on. Right. Joey was about to say something. Joey,
I'm so sorry, Joey.
No, what was I going to say?
Something about the crowd, and then I cut you off with my stupid joke.
Oh, I was just going to make a joke that there was like an exorbitant amount of like misaligned chants happening.
Yes,
like they were just like slightly off. It was so annoying.
Yeah, a little annoying.
Yeah. Come on, guys, get it together and go.
Little from column A, column B. It was the crowd was a mess. I'm just gonna say it up front. They kind of let me down.
Well, to be fair, they haven't had a wrestling event in 25 years.
They didn't know what to do. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Yeah. It's not 25. Wait, yeah, that's crazy. Sorry. Go ahead, Ryan. Go.
Well, I know we're on a time limit.
Give me the card. Yeah, give me the card.
Let's get to the first match. We had a WarGames match to begin with, which was awesome. This is the women's WarGame match. We had Bailey and Nia Jax starting this thing out. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to go through the list of who came in. As we know, a new member would come in every, 3 to 5 minutes? 3 minutes.
3 minutes. It says 3 minutes. I think they played with that somewhat.
I think they did
both
too.
matches.
So here was
the counter was very clear, and then other times they're like,
they kind of brushed it aside.
Look over here. Yeah.
I think you're right. So Naomi came in after that, then Candice LeRae, then Bianca Belair, then Tiffany Stratton, then Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley, and then Liv Morgan ended it. So yeah. Let's I guess dive into the match. Who wants to take that?
I thought, look, Ryan and I were talking about this a little bit. I think it started kind of slow, but I think a big part of that is they were trying to bring together so many disparate elements. There were several storylines going on at once. And I will say, by the way that it kind of all crescendoed at the end and came together, I thought was very satisfying, and I thought they did a good job. But it was definitely clear that they needed to break some ground a little bit, if you will. Like they had to some things they had to kind of like get things going and almost create a story for the match from scratch, which is not easy for a big unwieldy match like a WarGames match.
Yeah, I have a hot take in that I wish they would just go back to traditional Survivor Series matches.
Joey, I've been saying it all week. I've been saying the same thing.
I love WarGames, but it's like it's a special. It's becoming. Remember when they were doing Hell in a Cell as like a pay-per-view, and it just became kind of another thing, and it just doesn't feel as special when we're getting at least 2 of them a year. Like especially when it's becoming a routine.
100%.
And a lot of that is.
So go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of that is what you were talking about, where like the start of the match, it's very slow, and especially kicking off a show where like everyone's amped up, and then it's like it's kind of a crawl to like the action really getting going.
Yeah,
and I like that element of there's no DQ, or like the match doesn't really start until everyone's in the ring, and they can all mess each other up really bad before it starts. But like sometimes it just takes too long, and the 5 minutes is way too long. And there was a lot of like looking under the ring, and then like seemingly the thing that they thought they were looking for wasn't in the right spot.
Right?
So awkward.
Too. Yeah.
Like
poor Raquel Rodriguez was looking for something for like 5 minutes. I want to be like, girl, give up. Just get in the damn ring.
I don't know if this is the first time that I've really gotten to see her wrestle, and I'm a big fan.
She's great.
I will say, let me just throw that in there before I forget. But Joey, I'm right there with you. I want the original match back.
Joey, you couldn't have said it better, man. Like, I think something like a Royal Rumble, yes, we should have a women's, we should have a men's, but WarGames, like that 2 in 1 night, it's just exhausting.
Yeah,
it really is.
And like, if it's not like the women's match ended up being great. There was like that moment in the middle where they're all just like hitting each other with their moves, like one after the other. And like once it crescendoed, it was really fun. And like the big spot from Tiffany and Io Sky was fantastic.
Oh my God.
But like, if there's not like a real reason to have all those people together. Yeah, that's so great.
Insane.
You know, like this was Rhea and Liv really, and everyone else was just sort of like bit players in their story.
Exactly.
So like I almost would have rathered like a Rhea and Liv cage match or whatever instead of like all of these people being involved. Yeah. Whereas like the Bloodline match later on, that makes a little more sense to me in terms of like why it's grouped that way. You know? So
even with having, and Ryan and I were talking about this, there's disparate. I think that's just my favorite word today. Differing reasons as to why Jade Cargill is out. Some people are saying she is actually injured. Some people are saying she is not actually injured. I think having her and Bianca Belair in this match together would have added something else to it. But that being said, I love Bayley. Bayley's such a great wrestler, and always like Bayley is very good at being in the moment in everything, in promos, in matches, in everything. Like I think Bayley has some of the better improv skills, both as a wrestler and at like on the mic and everything. And I think she helped with some of the moments earlier on trying to like pull things together. It's almost like a ring general in a way. Like I think she was probably the most experienced, aside from Bianca Belair, like they're probably the two most experienced in this match. If I were to look at like career wise, and I think they bring a lot to it. Some of it was just hard, and there were some blown spots in the beginning that were a little rough. I don't know why. I don't know why you take somebody. Nia Jax was there, and they set, I forget who it was that they set up across the two chairs. And then Candice LeRae is the one that did a flip to her, and she's such a tiny human being that she just flipped right over.
Yeah, it was weird. There were some Candice LeRae. I'm coming around to her, but she really has to. She's got to do something to earn it for me, and this just wasn't it. There was one. Here's one blown spot that I thought was amazing. I think it was Candice LeRae. Io Sky was trying to do a move off of the cage with Candice. They botched it.
Sunset flip. She was trying to do a sunset flip.
And Io Sky was cracking up. She was having the time of her life in this match, knowing that what you're seeing on the screen, she was going to do this garbage can spot again, which was insane. But the fact that like you can immediately just kind of blow it off and be like, look, let's keep going. We got this. She like the camera was right on her and she was just laughing and just having the time of her life. So, yes, some botches, little disjointed, but these 10 women gave it their all. I don't think it has anything to do with them. I think it's the fact that like no one wanted to see two WarGames in one event.
Yep. And two things I want to say. One, I have my hot take is that the only specialty match that has survived having its own pay-per-view is Elimination Chamber. I still get very excited for that one. Royal Rumble still is like the OG, like it's like pre-written in, but I love Elimination Chambers, and you could do an event where there's 6 of them and I would not care. But so this moment in particular, this ended up being one of the first matches that my children watched in their lives. This thing started at 6:00 last night. I was by myself with them, and I was like, they're just gonna watch wrestling tonight. And my plan was, okay, I had WrestleMania on, and they had like walked through the living, but they did not care. This one, I was like, I have to have it while they're eating dinner. So I had a little TV set up at the kitchen table with the Roku attached so they could watch it with me. And this match, they were a little confused because I was explaining to one of my sons, I was like, yeah, there's bad guys and there's good guys, but also the woman with the bone mask is a good guy.
Try justifying that.
Yeah. And this is one of my sons who is very much into villains. Joker is his favorite character of any characters that exist. It's Joker and Bluey, so we think he's still okay. But he was a little confused by that. But when they both jumped off those cages, I could see some things kind of lock into place for the both of them. And then that continued into the next match. But yeah, I thought this one was a blast. I think that they pulled it off at the end. And it's also one of those things where even to me, when you have this much talent, because the one thing I thought Alexa Bliss was fantastic in this match, and I think that almost make things a little bit harder for Candice LeRae, because I am always
do you mean Liv Morgan?
Liv Morgan. Sorry, cheapers.
How dare you, sir?
But also,
how dare you?
Also, I kind of get it.
I stand by that. I stand by that. I don't even feel bad.
You are not the first to make that
They're
mistake.
the same person. They're the same person. I'll even go that far. But Liv Morgan's and Liv Morgan is incredible, even though I got her name incorrect. But she is great at using her size as part of the storytelling. And because I'm always of a yes, have Rey Mysterio go against Great Khali. This is staged. Who cares? You can have those kind of David and Goliath things. And I think Liv Morgan is better at doing that than Candice LeRae is, at least from what I've seen. I think that's kind of the issue. Is she's so small that she's yet to figure out ways to make it feel like, why is she winning? Why is she doing things correctly? How is she hurting these monsters that are so much
I think that's why she works better as a heel and with Dom and stuff. It's just because she's cheating so much more, and it's easier to see her versus Rhea and know that she's going to be underhanded and maybe winning. Also, Rhea's mask and just general look, fantastic. I hope they do an action figure soon.
Big fan.
It's like kind of like the oh my god, Luchasaurus mask, but better.
It was like that. That's true. Yeah,
I'm gonna say I'm really marking out for Stephanie Vacker in NXT right now.
Ooh, okay.
She's
the one from Mexico, right?
From Mexico, and she wears this devil horn sort of goat thing all the time. And when Rhea came out, I literally tweeted out on the Somewhere in the Ring Twitter, I'm like, Stephanie Vacker, and I showed her helmet thing she wears. I'm like, hold my beer my beer when Rhea So it's interesting, but this is great. Team Ripley defeated Team Morgan, and again, a riptide through a table. Rhea Ripley did on Liv Morgan.
That was incredible. What a spot! What a finish!
What a spot.
I think a fun way to tie up these matches, since let's not do a ranking. Who was your MVP of this WarGames match?
Nice.
Joey, you go first.
I mean, I don't know how I could make an argument for Bayley for being the glue, but Io Sky moonsault and a garbage can. I mean, come on.
Yep. Io Sky tenfold. Totally.
Also, just having a blast. I love her. I love how much fun she has. I don't know. Is she like jumped up and straddled Rhea Ripley after the match was over? And they were they were clearly just having a blast, and that makes me,
they were having a ball.
Like, it's just fun.
I think they all realized how ridiculous this concept of this match was, and they were like, "Screw it, let's go, let's do it."
I think what makes it tough is that it's so like the whole purpose of the match is to be like extremely sort of, to use insider, like it's very booked, it's like there's a lot of pieces that have to happen, and I think that sometimes contributes to the feeling of like, I don't know, just nothing feels like. There were a couple of chair shots that's I think Nia Jax was giving some chair shots that were just like,
they were bad.
And
they were Hulk Hogan bad.
And it was just like, okay, guys.
One thing I will say, and I was saying this to Ryan before we started, I'm actually glad you brought that up, Joey, because I almost forgot. I feel like the second WarGames match, the main event of the night, was much more thoroughly rehearsed than this one was. And I think that's what kind of hurt it a little bit, is I feel like they were kind of like, I don't know, we'll do this and this, and we'll try some things. And that's hard with the way this match is. And I feel like the main event was booked up to almost every second. And excuse me, it's one of those few times where I think it just really, really worked. And I almost wish the first one got more of that. And who knows? Maybe it did. I didn't seem like it, though. It really didn't feel like it.
Yeah. Well, it was what it was. I thought it was great.
MVP. At the end of the day, it's the you have 10 incredibly talented wrestlers in the ring wrestling each other. So
and you're going to remember those big moments and like that stuff.
It was
and not
it's
10 minutes leading into it.
Exactly.
And
you're going to forget the bad moments.
It's very much the best day working is still worse than the worst day fishing. Like, you know, it's you're still having a good time.
Andrew, you could have just went with bad pizza is good pizza. Come on, man.
Pizza's good.
Well, let's move to good pizza.
Also, that's not true. I've had some very bad pizza in London, like some of the worst I've ever had.
That's
in my
fair.
Life, to the point
we
where
do not do pizza good here. We
just throwing London under the bus.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I don't give an F. All right,
you know what? Throw them under that double-decker bus because they ain't got.
All right, I forgot what show we're talking about. I don't give an E, man. That was thank you. That was not a good joke. Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight is the first very full match that my children sat and watched. And
wow, were they terrified?
So, you know, what's kind of funny is that they whereas before they were like, okay, I kind of get what's going on here. This was one of the cleanest distillations of what pro wrestling is that I think that I have ever seen. It was an incredible match. It was very much a here's your good guy, here's your bad guy, which my children latched onto instantly. And the one who likes villains really did not like Shinsuke Nakamura. And that made me so happy. And he saw the photo. Yep. And he kept going, boo, 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 whenever Shinsuke would do something. And then if LA Knight did something, he's like, yay, yay, yay. It was awesome.
Love that.
Like,
we were sending voice messages to one another, and I could hear your son in the background going, boo, no, boo. It was adorable. Oh, man. Amazing.
And it was also just an incredible match.
A perfect match. It was so clean. So I always worry that LA Knight's going to fly too close to the sun. He always tries these big high spots and misses them. He's done it. He's botched like 5 or 6 of them at this point. I'm like, dude, just do what you do best. Grapple, wrestle. And that's what he did here with Shinsuke's strong style. And it was just, this was like a textbook perfect grudge match. I don't know how else to really put it. We could go move by move, but what's the point? It was mayhem. Right. It was awesome. And this new version of Shinsuke, I am loving it. New theme music, new style, doesn't give an F about anything. Like, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he does with this championship.
His makeup was pretty freaky.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
super freaky.
I like the remix of his music, but I also greatly missed his usual music. You know, it just wasn't as like sing-along-y.
Yeah, it doesn't hit as much, but it. So Andrew and I were talking. Yeah, please.
This is my theory on that. Is I think Shinsuke is one of those guys even when he goes heel, people still love him. Yeah. And I think with this time he was like, no, I want to be a heel that like makes people uncomfortable and throws them off guard. Yeah. And I think the music was kind of a perfect. I'll also you two are familiar with the excellent film Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. You don't have to say anything. You can just nod and agree with me. Thank you so much. So one of the things about that film is that Lex Luthor's theme is Superman's theme from Man of Steel played in like a minor chord. And that's what this felt like to me. It was him going like, you know what this is, but it's going to be off in a way that it's like recognizable, but feels almost like perverted or corrupted in a strange way.
I like that.
And I think even the crowd, that was one of the biggest moments where I noticed the crowd is just did not know what to do with him. Yeah. And what was kind of interesting is instead of Shinsuke Nakamura, one of the best wrestlers in WWE's whole roster on the planet even, and he didn't get a pop or anything. There was just kind of this odd, like, hush. It was really cool.
It was very affecting. And, you know, it was scary. Like, I to kind of fast forward to the end, Nakamura, he DDT'd LA Knight on the, right on the steel between the two rings. And that was scary, man. Like, I thought he like broke his nose or knocked him out cold, and
it's a great spot.
Got the pin. And I was not expecting. I turned my head. I'm not kidding you. I turned my head for like 5 seconds. I turned back and ding, ding, ding. I was like, oh my God. I can't believe it. Like, I was not expecting this. I predicted LA Knight all the way.
Yeah. Even my wife, who was like in the room, like on her computer, not totally watching, but Shinsuke won. She was like, that's surprising.
Yeah. Biggest surprise of the night, I would say.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I will say, I was saying to Ryan, like, I thought it might happen. My biggest tip when they had him come in and they were like, oh, he's 2-time United States champion. And I was like, oh, he might win this. Like, I feel like they like to give people the same belt regularly. And I was like, oh, if he's already got it. Also, I think it's time for LA Knight to move up the card a little bit.
See, you keep saying that, and I want to believe you. I do.
Sure.
Because I'm a huge LA Knight fan. Andrew knows this. But I worry. I honestly worry that, like, I feel like LA, he had that huge ascent organically and became what he did, beat LP for this championship. And I just worry. I don't know if there's a space for him anywhere to move up right now. I don't know.
I think that's fair. I don't know what the story could be. I think it's also it doesn't help that I don't think he would be a realistic challenger for the Universal title. But like, imagine him going up against Gunther.
I was going to say that. I think LA Knight Gunther is big money. I think, especially because Gunther is so good. And
oh wow, I
love LA Knight. I do think he's got he's like a Stone Cold who like is awesome, but like has a very specific lane. But I think working with someone like Gunther who just makes everyone look great, I think they could have a long running feud. Especially like
love that.
Gunther's super serious. LA Knight's a little more cocky and charismatic. I think there's a lot of cool fuel there.
Yeah, and if you push it and have them, it would be a while, but if you build to them going up against each other at the Rumble, I think that leaves, I don't think either of them would win it, even though I know Gunther is like a favorite. I don't think John Cena is going to win it either, even though he is the, like, whenever the betting odds came out, he's like the #1 favorite to win. I don't think he needs it, but who knows? But I think that night you kind of have to, Gunther has had such a firm place in the Royal Rumble the last like 2 years. Did he come in at #1 last year, or was that the year before?
I think that was last year.
Yeah, against Cody
the whole time.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and I don't think you can put him in it again and have him not win without hurting his character and momentum. So I think a better opportunity is to set him up for like a big match that night.
Yeah.
And I think him and LA Knight would put on a hell of a match.
Nice.
And I think there's history. I'm sure they wrestle each other in Ring of Honor. That's what, like, something I had to remind myself during the Gunther Damian Priest matches. I was like, oh yeah, these guys have wrestled a lot in their careers.
Remember that side-by-side picture of Gunther and Damian
where they're both
Priest?
like, and they both have like a bunch of baby fat on them.
Oh yeah, they're both like 100 pounds heavier. It's crazy to see how far they've come. Not that there's anything wrong with a little extra.
No.
Extra,
I think it's one of those things where wrestlers have not been shy about talking and like people up top, they just like, if you're a bigger guy, you almost have to like own it a little bit. Like Kevin Owens, I think, is a perfect example like that. Like, because you have your Bronson Reed types or like your Nia Jax who are just big human beings. And that's like a whole other thing. There's something else about being quote unquote normal. Like having a normal body type. And I think that Gunther kind of had that even when he was Walter in NXT. Like he was a little bit chubbier. And once he got rid of that, and they just moved him over. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I just that's my observation there.
I think it's that whether it's good or bad, it's a real thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
It's real. Very good point, Joey.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Shinsuke Nakamura is our new United States champion.
Love it. Psyched.
Let's move to our Intercontinental bout. This was a triple threat match with Braun Breaker against Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. Ooh, man.
I saw almost none of this match because then I had to turn down the TV, turn it away so one of my kids would finish eating his dinner, and then yada yada. So I didn't really get to see this. So Joey, what did you think of this match?
So watching like the video package and the build up, this was a storyline that I hadn't really been paying attention to, and I saw it and I was like, I don't care about any of this really. Like Sheamus, he's been around for a long time. That's cool. I enjoy him sometimes, and I'm not taking any of his skills away or anything. Braun Breaker also just, I don't know. I've seen it before, even though he's great, but like, just, you know, but all of that being said, I thought it was a great match. Like that's for awesome. Going into it, not super caring about the story. They made me care. And I thought Ludwig put on a great show. I thought he just like really, he had that moment sort of like, oh my God, at Elimination Chamber a few years ago when one of the Street Profits, I can't remember his name. I feel awful because my whole point is that he was in the Elimination Chamber match and just like really just like put on an all-star performance. And I feel like,
Montez Ford.
Yes, thank you.
Montez? Okay.
And I feel like this was a similar kind of opportunity. Like you knew he wasn't going to win. Maybe he would cost someone a victory or take the pin or whatever. But I think he really just showed off that he's more than just Gunther's ring announcer and lackey. You know, it just really showed his abilities, which was cool.
Yeah, Joey. I agree. Yeah, sorry, Andrew. I was going to say, even this image we have up on the screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, they're both looking at Ludwig, and I think that says it all. This match was to put Ludwig over. I honestly think that. I think everyone sort of knew like Breaker was probably going to retain in this. I think he's still got some legs with this championship. I think
still got a ceiling. He's still got a ceiling.
Like he does have a ceiling, yeah. But I really do think this was to show off Ludwig and that he can go with guys like this, and he can. You know, he's a small dude. I mean, he's super lean and whatnot, but like he can be just as rough and violent as someone like Sheamus. I mean, I saw Sheamus and Ludwig in a dark match at a live SmackDown. It was after they went off the air and these two went up against each other. And I was like, I cannot wait to see these two go against each other in a PLE someday. And boom, I got it almost less than a month later. So I can't wait to see what Ludwig does next.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, go ahead. No, Joey, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think part of my problem with this is that the wrestling archetype of this is the one championship that's eluded me when you've held literally all of the other ones. It's not very compelling to me. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm very successful except for this one thing. And it's just like, well, maybe you don't get to have that one thing and you just have to make do. So like, it's hard for me to invest in that. Yeah. You know,
I get it.
I get that 1,000%. Ludwig was actually part of one of my favorite spots of the year so far this year, which happened this past Monday, where Braun Breaker was doing his usual run around the ring to spear somebody, and Ludwig moved at the last second, and Braun Breaker went chest first into the corner of the announce table, which I just do not know how they did without killing him.
At 23 miles per hour.
Yes,
do not forget that.
That was pretty awesome. Something I just brought in a visual aid that I want to hold up. Does this look familiar to anybody?
LaCroix,
the LaCroix limoncello seltzer, and it just looks exactly like Braun's tights. Like I just that's
you're right.
It does. It's the same. It's the same color palette.
It's the same. It's.
Oh my God! They meant to do that.
And hey, look. It made me want a LaCroix limoncello, which is one of the best flavors that LaCroix has. So there you go.
Definitely the next PLE, you'll see it on the mat.
You didn't want a Prime energy drink, Andrew?
No, I don't need enough caffeine to make my heart stop. Thank you very much. I am allegedly. I don't know if that actually happens.
I will say this about Braun Breaker. I like that his color scheme is very early 90s.
Super retro.
In a fun way, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, his whole vibe in general is very.
I like him. Like he was in the pre-show.
He took you a little bit to come around.
It did. It really did. But you know, he unfortunately at the pre-show they were interviewing him, and he had a Steiner T-shirt on of his dad, and I was like, that lost some points for me.
However, that one's hard. That one's real hard.
But you know what? He's really coming around to me. He's getting so damn good on the mic. And I love his style of wrestling. I love the spears. Sure. They are so unbelievably controlled but violent. And I love it. I thought this was a fantastic match. Absolutely one of my favorites of the night, for sure. And Breaker retained.
Nice. Let's get to Gunther and Priest, and we might have to blow through that one really quick and get right to the main event. Worst finish of the night. I'm just gonna say it. Worst finish of the night.
That's so funny that you have that, because in my notes I have finish was lame.
Yeah, it was awful. I have zero interest in Damian Priest and Finn Balor wrestling each other. I don't care about that. I just don't. I feel like they keep thinking we care, and I just don't. I wanted to see Damian Priest move on from going up against Judgment Day. It is not as interesting as the Bloodline stuff. I thought this was a fine match of what I saw, like most of it, but it's still the finish just cut the legs right out from under it for me.
Yep. Didn't need it.
Just don't care.
I agree with that, but I will say I think they actually mentioned this on commentary that Damian Priest, since losing the title, has seemed to like really lock into something cool.
Yeah,
and he just like people seem more invested in him. He seems a little bit more like confident in his character and all that stuff. And I thought he was great. Yeah. I liked that there was some hard like selling his injury, just like real like some classic wrestling stuff.
Sure. They're great. They're great. Yeah. It's just like they're great, and I feel like these are two guys who in 2 years could be headlining WrestleMania against each other. You know what I mean? Like I think this is a feud that could be one of their best ones going forward, and I just don't want Finn Balor involved. I just don't care. I like that. It just ruined it. And I've also Finn Balor, somebody who has I'm starting to like less and less as the years go on. He's also very bad on the mic, which I did not realize until at one point this week he was monologuing to Judgment Day, and I was like, "Wow, you're bad at this." Like for somebody who's been doing this for a long time, you cannot talk in a way that sounds convincing at all.
Smacks his lips a lot too, which bothers me like nobody's business. I hate it. I don't know why I'm such a stickler. Maybe it's because I podcast a lot. Like it's literally 50 of the 40-hour work week I usually do. But like, dude, I'm like, drink some water, man. Do something before you get on the microphone. Ugh.
So,
anyways, I would have to agree. Stupid ending.
But I do love Gunther, and I think he's my favorite performer right now. Sure. But also, I loved at the end when he smooched his belt. He was just.
I saw that. I loved that. Yep. That was great.
I also like that Gunther is an excellent actor as well. There is a moment where he went to choke out Damian Priest, and Damian Priest got the ropes, and Gunther is sitting there in the corner, and there's something about like just smooth faced, like really in it and existing in the moment. And I was like, oh man, it looks like he's worried. I also liked something we'll get into in a little bit when it comes to Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns actually said, I think after the show, that he would rather lean more into his character than be strictly heel or face. And I do think they laid some ground for Gunther in this match with him, especially with him taking out Finn Balor after Finn Balor interfered. I thought that was a good move, but it's still just like, I was like, okay, but now the match is over, so who cares? So
interesting. Yeah. Also, I love how I said, Joey, I also saw him kiss the belt. So did like 10 million people. Sorry.
I loved it. I don't know why I said that. It was more that he did it so tenderly that I was like,
yes, it was very tender. Yeah. Very The Notebook. Yep. All right, gentlemen, we hit our main event.
Match of the year. Match of the year.
Match of the year. Wow.
Match of the year.
Here's the thing. I have to veto match of the year.
Go on.
Only because I hated the football intro thing that they did.
Oh my God, dude. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, I have it set up here. We don't have time to watch it, but I did put the video in the chat here. I'm going to insert it into the episode right here, just so you guys know what Joey is referencing. So watch this.
Demon in your dreams, Brutality University.
Bianca Belair, the EST of WWE, the University of Tennessee, go Vols.
Ding dong, hello, it's Bailey, the role model of WWE.
Io Sky, Toritsu Koge Koukou.
Naomi, Glow University.
Liv Morgan, greatest women's world champion of all time. Nia Jax, the Irresistible Force and the WWE Women's Champion.
Tiffany Stratton, Miss Money in the Bank.
Raquel Rodriguez, Sam Houston State University.
Candice LeRae, Riverside, California. Undefeated at WarGames.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joey, tell us more about this, man.
People love this shit. I will just say, I also don't like it.
It was so lame, and it just made me think of the Key and Peele sketch.
Yes, thank you.
And I was just like, I would rather watch that. And I don't think the feeling that they're trying to elicit is, let me go watch something else before this main event happens.
Yeah, why? Why inject any type of humor into this? I don't get it.
But I'm not sure it was supposed to be funny.
Whoa. Let's not. I don't think they were trying to be funny, because I would argue one of the reasons that I loved this match is that there are moments. Wrestling is so rarely intentionally funny. Like whenever they try it, it's always like lame jokes. The moments between Roman Reigns and CM Punk made me laugh out loud several times in this match. I think they were doing those awful intros because it was such a big college football day yesterday. I feel like all I was seeing aside from that was college football, and they were playing at a time when college football is usually on. So not good. But I believe that was what they were going for.
New York University or NYU. University.
Sure. Okay.
I'm all for people trying new things and just like throwing stuff at the wall. But this was not one that worked for me in the slightest. And it was cringy. Truly.
A little cringe. All right. So what did we think of the match overall? What were your favorite moments? Andrew, you seem to be chomping at the bit, buddy.
Match of the year. I think every moment was my favorite moment. Everything worked. Every spot worked. Every use of every character worked. I think this is the first time that I felt that Solo and his bloodline were threatening. What was interesting is halfway through the match, I was like, they could lose this, and they're still set up for a nice trajectory going forward. I really expected this to be kind of the end, and no, it's just the kind of like a force to be. It was the best use of Solo, who I do not think is. I wouldn't say he's bad, but he's no Roman Reigns. He's no Jimmy Uso.
He doesn't have like that charisma. I think that like a leader needs.
Yeah. He's a Timu tribal chief. He's a Bobo tribal chief. He is like a knockoff, and I think that's very intentional, but it's hard to find him threatening. And I'll be interested to see if he gets booted from the group later this week. Maybe not. But because Jacob Fatu is a revelation. He wrestled against Jay on Friday night. That was an incredible match. And then he comes in here and just annihilates. I remember
this was his match.
Yeah, I agree. He's my MVP for the match, even though it's the best use of Bronson Reed that I've seen so far.
Yep.
Bronson Reed jumped off the top of the cage only to miss, and CM Punk moved Roman Reigns in a way that made me feel unsafe.
Yeah,
they timed that so perfectly that I was like, oh my God. That to me, this match was everything that's great about pro wrestling working.
Yep.
There were great regular wrestling moves, but there was also insane, silly stuff. There was like tension and rifts and story building throughout the match that was also building off of stuff set up before the match. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's what really like turns this one up a notch from the earlier WarGames match. And what's funny is I think last year it was the inverse. The women's one I remember being far more compelling.
Sure. Yeah.
But like this one had a lot more like internal storytelling in the match, specifically Punk and Roman. All that stuff was good, and like just really playing up we see it all the time, right? Are they going to be able to coexist throughout the match? And usually it's like almost always a yes or a no. But the way that we get there is not often as dramatic as this was, and I thought they did that really well.
The dedication. There was one moment, I just want to bring this up. Sammy and Jimmy were doing their little hand high five thing that they do, very inside high five thing. And in the corner is Jimmy laid out, or sorry, Jey Uso laid out dead on the ground. And he turns and watches them do it, and he's on the ground going, like doing the motions with them as if you were a part of the high five. It was
incredible.
Everyone carried this match and made this story. Like, I told Andrew, when Paul Heyman said at a press conference, we're in the third inning of the Bloodline story, I laughed. I'm like, dude, this stuff is so done. It's like, stop, it's over. And we are a year and a half to 2 years after he said that, and we really only have just begun. I'm not saying I do feel.
No, yeah, an incredible shot of adrenaline to the whole storyline. Like, I really thought this was going to be the final bow. No, not even close. Not even close. There was so much that did. Seth Rollins did not get involved whatsoever, even though I really thought that was going to happen because the bit of the pre-show that I did see highlighted a Shield's debut. Because that might have been at a Survivor Series. I don't remember, but and how that was directly tied to CM Punk actually when the Shield first showed up.
Yep. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on that before we wrap things up. Like, a lot of people were expecting something huge to happen, an interference by Seth Rollins, which would have made perfect sense. That was my prediction. I told Andrew, like, I thought he was either going to take Bronson Reed out and become the 5th member of the Temu bloodline, or I thought there was a good chance that The Rock was going to show up. A lot of people expected him to, but none of that happened.
Yeah, I would both be surprised. I would not be surprised if The Rock showed up tomorrow, and I would not be surprised if he never shows up in WWE ever again. He is such a, like, I feel like he is just all over the place right now, and that's the biggest wrench in everything going forward.
Yeah, he's going crazy, man. He's
going crazy.
It.
He's nuts. He's nuts.
Yeah.
He's out there doing interviews where he's like, yeah, I peed in water bottles, but it's no big deal. Sometimes you're on set for a long time. Here, look at my cats or whatever he's doing. Like, he's nuts, dude. But what works, WrestleMania is when you do your kitchen sink. WrestleMania is when you're like, let's throw everything that's been happening all year into the mix.
Right.
This was a perfect use of taking that momentum and letting it hit like a certain peak, but not letting it go too far. Yeah, that's another. I was impressed with the restraint they showed, because I also thought, if you guys remember, last Survivor Series, it ended and they even got the little copyright box in the bottom, and then boom, CM Punk shows up.
Yeah,
right.
No copyright box this year, unless I missed it, and I kept it on. I paused it to go upstairs because one of my sons, a robot, wasn't sleeping under a blanket that it was supposed to be sleeping up. He was just trying to stay up later and couldn't.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
But I paused it. I kept waiting. I was like, oh, I was like, I'll just pause it and come back down. I came back down and I was like, okay, something happened at the end here. No, nothing.
And fade to black. Yeah.
They let it good ending.
Yeah.
Yep, they let it exist.
Absolutely.
And I think it's almost like luring us into a false sense of security. Like, I'm really excited to see what happens. Like, I'm floored that I'm like, okay, what's the next step?
Well, last question for you guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
If I may. CM Punk said that Paul Heyman owes him a favor. What is that favor? What do you think it's going to be?
Ooh.
That's the only reason he did this match.
Right. What power?
It might be too early to tell.
That's
What power? Good question. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a
like,
Hall
what
of
can
Famer
he
now,
do
but
for
what
it?
does that do? Yeah.
That being said, I will say they had to sit down between CM Punk and Roman Reigns on Friday nights, and CM Punk is such a good actor. That was like, I was like, oh, look at you, you've been actually doing a lot of this stuff, and Roman Reigns not so much, but I think CM Punk made Reigns better. But still, they were sitting across from each other, and Paul Heyman at one point says he's like, he knows. Roman Reigns knows that you're the biggest threat. And I do think it's interesting that they keep setting Punk up for the world heavyweight title picture. So I don't know. I don't see him going up against Cody Rhodes for that belt. It's interesting. If anything, I think the favor might be like, I don't know. Maybe Punk gets to come in at the Rumble at number 30.
Yeah.
And then just win that way.
Yeah, it's weird because they're building that up to be a big thing that will eventually pay off. But again, what power does Paul Heyman have? I mean, he had all the power in the bloodline, but Punk really doesn't want anything to do with the bloodline. This was it.
Right. Unless Roman gets Gunther's belt or something, and then Punk challenges him for that at Mania or whatever.
Mm.
But that doesn't seem like it's doing anyone any service going that route, you know?
I think Punk wants a main event at WrestleMania. That's what I think. I don't know what form that's going to take.
Yeah,
but I think that's
he's
what's
been
going to
pretty
happen.
open. He's been pretty open about that too.
I mean, maybe it's just Punk Roman, just just
that would
Punk
be
Roman.
huge. That would be a huge moneymaker. I mean, everyone also wants Rock and Roman, but maybe that's 2 years down the line.
I think it's going to be Rock and Cena this year if The Rock wrestles anybody at WrestleMania.
You think so?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it's got to be because they've only wrestled twice before. They wrestled twice. They were 2 big letdown matches, but I think they have to close that out. Yeah.
It always is. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I just want to say my favorite moment of this match was Roman's Helm's Deep moment, where he's climbing over and he's like on the top of the thing and fighting the dudes that are trying to like knock him down. That's great.
It was incredible. It was incredible. It was I don't know why I'm getting so worked up, but I'm like, I was watching that happen and I was like, this is it's like a movie. It's like, like what you're saying, like a Helm's Deep. Like they are setting him up. They have done such a good job of making Reigns a fan favorite, and that moment was such a perfect example because it wasn't like it was easy for him, but it was an incredible like thing that you could not only do in pro wrestling, but like one of those fun, interesting. They just gave a lot of weight to him coming in. Yeah, I loved that too, and I loved Solo getting all the finishers done to him in a row. I thought that was incredible. Because it wasn't done in like this is the only way we can take this down. It was done in like no, screw this guy.
Yep. And he took it like I'll say he took it like a man. Like he didn't like cower and be like, all right, I give up. He was I'm still here. Like you got to take me out. Yep. You got to take me out. The last thing I'll say, Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu. I am worried. I have heard rumors that both of them got severely injured during the match. Bronson Reed specifically.
You know what's funny? I've only seen so far today that Jimmy Uso got injured. That's the only one that's been confirmed.
Yep. This is wrestling.
I think the Fatu one was a work when he goes up and like hurts his leg. Yeah. Because I think there's they set him up in such a way that it's just like, how can anybody beat this dude? And it's like, oh, he beats himself. Like I think they kind of had to do that. Fatu, I remember X-Pac saying before when Fatu was like rumored to have been signed, X-Pac came out and shared like a montage. He was like, you guys have no idea what you are in for until you see Jacob Fatu. And I remember watching the clips he shared and I was like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. And he is. And I think he's a bit of the future. And I think they basically just had to take him out of the match a little bit.
That's fair.
Reed, I don't know, because if Reed got injured, I wouldn't be surprised because that spot where he went through the table was nuts.
They didn't show him again they didn't even cut to him a single time.
Yeah, you got to
didn't leave that corner after that.
He Jeff Hardy'd himself, as I like to say, like when you do some big stunt to take yourself out of the match.
I just want to add one last thing, which is commentary from my wife during this match on when the new Bloodline was announced, and she said that's what they called themselves. They couldn't think of anything better. I hadn't really thought of it.
Right. Keep talking. I'm literally just gonna go open my children's door and tell them it's time to get up, and then I'm coming right back down. But I can hear you.
Done. Well, Joey, let's go with letter grades, buddy. I know we didn't go match by match, but like overall, what would you give WarGames 2024?
The show
I forgot
itself?
what year it was. Sorry.
Yeah. I feel like it's a solid B+.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a B as well. It didn't stand out as like event of the year for me.
Yeah.
But we'll see what Andrew says.
Like I don't think that looking like if someone's like, oh, what's your favorite Survivor or what Survivor Series did XYZ happen and naming anything from this show? I don't think that I would be like, oh, that was 2024. I remember that, it was a great show, but I don't think it's like an all-timer or anything like that. But it was solid. Some great matches, great spots, great storytelling. But I don't think it's going to go down in the annals of all-time great Survivor Series shows.
That's fair, buddy. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my Tiffy cash in too.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, and that had happened. We would be singing a different tune right now.
I know. That would have made it an A for me. Andrew, we gave our final grades, B's across the board. How about you, buddy?
A-. I would give it a solid. The only thing it would be an A were it not for the finish to that Gunter and Damian Priest match. But you know what? I think I'll keep it as an A-. Getting to watch it with my kids obviously makes it a little bit more special. But I just thought the main event was incredible. And I thought the Shinsuke LA Knight match was incredible. And I think that the other ones were good enough and had big enough spots and stuff that it's going to stick in my memory a little bit. But, I will see. If anything, I want to see where the bloodline stuff goes next because they could easily screw this up. So we'll see.
We will see. We'll see. We'll see tonight. As this airs, Monday Night Raw will be happening. This is our last PLE of the year, guys. Can you believe that?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll have to do this.
Yeah,
they're doing it. No, they're doing a Saturday night's main event.
That's true. Forgot about that.
Yeah, which I am excited about, and that'll be a big,
I'm excited for the music.
Yeah, little disco vibe. I love
that. I love that music.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, should we wrap things up, guys?
Please do.
Awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
Look, as always, find me at Somewhere in the Ring, or not Somewhere in the Ring, patreon.com/Somewhere in the Ring, Andrew Sanford on Blue Sky. And that's pretty much where I'm at. We got other stuff coming up, but I am actually going to jump off, Mike, because I literally just said, wake up, guys, and came back downstairs and they're still in their cribs. So Joey, Ryan, love you both so much. Close out the show. Take us home. Go pre-order Pedestrian. Ryan will put the link in the show notes. Watch Pay the Tithe. Also in the show notes. Love wrestling. Love you guys.
Later, buddy. We love you, Andrew. Joey. Buddy, once again, let us know where we can find everything you're up to. Throw us the socials if you don't mind, and we'll close things out.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky at Joey Esposito, and I'm on Instagram at Joey Esposito with a little underscore before my name. And that's pretty much it. And please pre-order the Pedestrian from your local book or comic shop.
Love it, buddy. Yes, we will put links in the show notes for that as well, guys. Like Andrew said, you can now find us on Blue Sky. Just type in Somewhere in the Ring podcast. Join our very active Facebook page where we talk all about predictions, results, everything you're listening to right now. So just find us everywhere, Somewhere in the Ring podcast. Please leave us a rating and review. That helps tremendously to get us amongst the big wrestling podcasts out there. So thank you in advance for all of that. And you can find everything I do at somewhereintheskies.com, my UFO podcast. And that's going to do it. So Joey, thanks again, man, for joining us for our results show.
Love it.
I think now you have broken the record for our most returned guest.
Yes, truly a friend of the pod.
You are truly a friend of the pod. And you know what that means, man. What we do at the end of every show. So dig deep, find that inner monologue, and ring that metaphorical bell for us and get us out of here.
Ding, ding, ding.
That was a perfect Survivor Series. I loved it. I'm going to also get that siren going that they did during the event. Put that in there, Ryan. Put that in there. You doing it, future Ryan? Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Joey.
All right. Thank you.
This has been Somewhere in the Ring. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, and be sure to rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever possible. We'll see you again soon, Somewhere in the Ring.